Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so this week I made it a point to not really have anything on my social calendar. I wanted a weekend and a week where I just had no plans. I didn't want to get ready for anything. I didn't want to feel like I needed to be anywhere. I didn't want to have to do my hair. I just wanted a weekend of like pure relaxation. And that is exactly what I got. It was such nice weather outside and I put my hammock up in the park with Louie, read my book outside for like hours. I got some sun on my skin. I just had the best weekend, the most relaxing weekend. And with a slow weekend and with a slow week means that I was able to throw down on some reading. I finished 3 books this week. That's a lot. I read a lot this week. I usually average like 1.5, maybe 2 books, depending on how big they are. But this week I finished 3 books and they were all so good. Like I could not put these books down. I could not stop reading. I loved every single minute of it. Every book I read this week was a romantic fantasy, a romantasy. And I started off with The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Y'all, I loved this book. It is a classic, like enemies to lovers type story. It is through and through fantasy. We've got magic, we've got action. It's so good. It follows a story of a girl named Oriah who essentially has to compete in these trials to gain the award of meeting with one of the gods and being bestowed a gift of some sort. That's essentially the plot of the story. Obviously, a lot of things happen and we get a very steamy, meaty man. We have a great male lead in this book as well. Y'all know I love a strong female lead and Oriah is just that. She is trained from birth to be, well, she's trained from like adolescence to be not an assassin, but like essentially, like she's just a very badass female character. I absolutely loved this book. It is on the steamy side, but it's not overly smutty, which is nice. It's nice to take a little break from that sometimes. But the romance was phenomenal. Like I said, Enemies to Lovers arc, one of my favorite, never gets old. So this is the first book in this series. The thing about this is that the other books were released, but this series has now been picked up by a publisher. So all of the books are being re-released by the publisher. So this is the only book that you can currently buy on the market in the series. The second book comes out this June. June 4th is when the re-release comes out of the second book in this series. You can currently read the second book as an ebook online, but I don't want to do that. I don't really like reading ebooks online. I prefer to have it live and in person. So I already have the pre-order set for June 4th to receive this second book and I am so excited. The third book gets re-released in November, I believe. So I got a little time till that next one, but the anticipation is killing me. If you have not read this book, I highly, highly recommend it. If you're new to fantasy, if you like it to be on the lighter side of romance and smutty, this is a great book for you. Absolutely loved it. Cannot wait for the second one. I think I finished this book in like 2 days. I mean, I was reading non-stop. I could not put this book down. Once I finished this book, then I started. I've been so excited to start this series. I'm like just so excited to start this series. So I went and picked up the first From Blood and Ash novel. So this is an entire series as well, the Blood and Ash series. And y'all, this book is so good. I stayed up until like 3 a.m. on Wednesday night reading this book, finishing this book. I literally could not put it down. I was obsessed. So this story, I don't want to say too much because obviously a lot happens in all of the books, but basic overview is that it follows a girl named Poppy who is the maiden in this kingdom, and the maiden is meant to be pure and kept really safe. And she essentially in this first book, again, I'm not going to say too much about the plot. I hate Spoilers, I don't like things being spoiled for me. I don't ever want to spoil something for someone else. But essentially the first book follows her coming into herself and learning who she wants to be. And this is the ultimate forbidden love story. Like, this is such a good forbidden love story, forbidden love romance. Like, it's so good. The male lead in this series, again, another incredibly strong female lead. Poppy is everything. I just absolutely love her character development. I love who she turns into. I love the romance in this series. It's phenomenal. Cannot recommend this enough. I flew through it. After I finished this one, obviously I had to keep going. So I read the second From Blood and Ash novel, and this is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This book, I thought I loved the first one. This one was so good. This is more of an enemies to lovers arc kind of story, and it is phenomenal. I'm not going to say too much about the plot because, again, it builds off of what happens in the first book, but you're still following Poppy, you're still following the male lead, you're following their story and just everything that's happening within the kingdoms and this entire world that Armentrout has created in this series is phenomenal. It's very fantasy, not overly, like, it's not like seeping with magic, but it's so good. So I will say one thing about the Blood and Ash series. This series is smut. Like, it is very dirty, very naughty. I absolutely love it. It, like, there were times where I was reading this book and I was just like, I mean, it will make your cheeks flush. It's very smutty, but it's so good. The love story that develops in these books is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, I'm not gonna stop. So this series currently has 5 books out. Gonna read them all. The 6th one comes out in August, I believe. I saw her post that on her Instagram today. It does come out August 18th, I want to say. So obviously I will have these read by then, and I cannot wait to continue reading these books. I love that I'm currently in a mode of reading series that aren't completed yet or series that still have releases to come. I think it's so exciting to, like, be in anticipation of another book and not be able to just read obviously I love to be able to read a series all the way through, but when I finish a book and the ending just like, what? Then I'm just like, it gets me so excited. And that's why I think it's so important for me to tab my books, because when those new releases come out, I may not be able, or I mean, I could go back and reread the whole series, but like, this ensures that I can go back and read all the highlights and remember all of the best parts that happen throughout the book. And I cannot get over these. The From Blood and Ash series, I mean, both of them, honestly, the twist that happens at the end of this story, wild. Intense betrayal twist that happens, and it's so, so good. And just the overall story, there's a lot of twists that are already happening in the From Blood and Ash series, but I think it's about to get really, really wild in the next few books. I think the action is about to get crazy, and y'all know I love an action-packed series. So I am currently reading the 3rd From Blood and Ash novel. I think it's called A Crown of Gilded Bones. That is the 3rd book in this series. I am currently reading that. I'm already like 200 pages in. When I tell you I cannot stop reading these books, I mean, they're like all consuming of my mind. I've had dreams about the characters in this From Blood and Ash series. Like, it's so good. Cannot recommend it enough. If you're a Moss fan, then these are right up your alley. So go out and get your hands on these books if you have not read them yet. They are so, so good. I will continue to update with what books I'm reading and continue on with my book review series that I'm doing. Obviously, my next one will be a full review on the Blood and Ash series, which I'm so excited to do. But I will continue with my weekly books I'm reading update. And as always, please be sure to drop me a comment. I love hearing y'all's thoughts and opinions on the books that I read, as well as recommendations on other books that I should read. Please be sure to drop those in the comments below and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my next book review video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you back next time.